What up, shit? Timmy's here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary, we got How to Train Dragon 2. Now, just so you know, I just realized this. This is this same week next year, if there's no delays, obviously, will actually be the release of the How to Train Dragon live action remake, which I'm really interested to see how they're gonna do that. But of course, we had How to Train Dragon Part 2, which of course was the follow to 2010's How to Train Dragon. And not gonna lie, I actually really prefer the sequel over the original. This was definitely like the Toy Story 2 or Shrek 2 of the Dragon universe. This time around, it once again features the voice of Jay Baruchel and follows 20-something-year-old Hiccup and his family as young adults as they encounter Valka, Hiccup's long-lost mother, and Drago Bloodfist, a madman who wants to conquer the world. Now, you also have like Kate Blanchett voicing the mother, John Hansu, Kit Harington. It definitely was a lot of fun, really entertaining. Of course, a couple years after they'll go ahead and do a third one, which was the final one. So not a bad sequel. Now, also turning 10, not the first film, but its sequel, and that is 22 Jump Street. What should I say? I love 22 Jump Street. Pretty much we had like two sequels this week, 10 years ago. We had How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 22 Jump Street. While the first film is terrific, I might even maybe slightly prefer the second one. There is a lot more laughs with this time around. Of course, the follow 221 Jump Street, which was based on the TV show with Johnny Depp and this was directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who of course gave us the Lego Movie. I believe that they actually did the Lego Movie in the same year as did they? Yeah, they actually did. Crazy to believe they actually did the Lego, like Phil Lord and Chris Miller did the Lego Movie and 22 Jump Street in the same year. That's talk about cool range there. Now this time around, you have Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum reprising their roles as Smith and Jenko, who go undercover at a college in order to find a supplier of a new drug. And 22 Jump Street is just as funny. I mean, there's a lot of more funny gags in it. Like the scene where like one of my funny like when I first saw this film in there's the hardest laugh I've probably ever had in a movie there was of course a bit of a spoiler, but this movie's been out since 10 years. Was of course the scene where of course there is this subplot where Jonah Hill ends up, let's say, dating Ice Cube's captain's daughter, right? And there was of course a funny gag when Channing Tatum's Janko ends up finding out about it, and then he was like, Smith, captain's daughter, and he, oh man, that is one of the funniest single moments in the film I've seen. Uh, it's such a shame they never did the third one though. Of course, at the end, by the way, if you guys don't know, remember, at the end of the credits, they pretty much teased more 22 Jump Streets. Uh, like there was obviously cameos by the likes of Anna Faris, Seth Rogen. One of my favorite end credits scenes to a film. Like I still wish we get those 22 Jump Street, like those other sequels that was teased at the end of the film, but those were just for giggles. But yeah, of course, the Queen Latifah cameo that was unexpected. I did not even expect Queen Latifah to appear in this when I first saw this film. Uh, yeah, I mean, a lot of fun to really have with this one. I still wish we got another one with Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, but yeah, I think that time has passed. I mean, if you guys remember, I kid you not, you guys remember like years ago when they were like gonna do a weird crossover with Men in Black and 22 and 21 Jump Street. It was like around when like Sony was hacked and all, which by the way, I believe this is actually gonna be the 10th anniversary of when Sony's emails was hacked. And then of course we ended up finding out that Sony was gonna do like an Aunt May film. I mean, that whole thing was weird, but whatever. If you guys haven't seen 22 Jump Street or even 21 Jump Street, do yourself a favor, go watch them. They're fun films. Again, I wish we had a third one or a fourth one, but it is what it is, I guess. All right. Another film that turns 10, which I forgot to put in the description, was the movie The Rover. This is, of course, directed by David Machad, who also gave us the not the TV version, but the Australian film Animal Kingdom. He also has that film Wizards coming out with Pete Davidson. I'm really interested in that one. This, of course, stars Robert Pattinson and Guy Pearce, and it's set in it's an Australian dystopian Western drama. Uh, where, of course, a contemporary Western taking place in the Australian outback after a global economic collapse. And Robert Pattinson, like, this was around a time where lots of people's. This is definitely one of the films, like, whenever people talk about Robert Pattinson's acting abilities, they always go to Twilight, and he's the Twilight boy. No one really sees films such as The Rover or Good Time. Like, Robert Pattinson is more than just the Twilight Boy, and The Rover was one of them. His chemistry with Guy Pearce is terrific. I mean, if you guys ever seen The Rover, it's not a great film. Like, it's not my favorite film from A24 or nothing like that. But it's actually a really decent little one worth checking out. All right, now films celebrating their 20th anniversary. We got the Chronicles of Riddick, the second installment of the Riddick franchise. Of course, we will end up getting another one, like I believe 9 years later after. And we are supposed to be getting another one that's supposed to be shooting sometime this year. So we're gonna be getting more Riddicks down there. But anyway, of course, we got Vin Diesel, who prizes his role as Richard B. Riddick. Of course, a follow to Pitch Black for 2000. And it follows the adventures of Riddick as he attempts to elude capture and face an invading empire. And Chronicles of Riddick was a pretty decent one. Vin Diesel. I mean, so many people, when you think of Vin Diesel, obviously you always think of the Fast and Furious films, but he has had some other decent roles. Obviously, Xander Cage in the Triple X films and all. Chronicles of Riddick is not like his best work, nothing like that. But it is a lot of fun. The sci-fi elements is pretty cool. Vin Diesel's pretty good as Riddick. You also have some other cool cast members like Teddy Newen, Keith David, Carl Urban. Not bad as someone here. All right. Also turning 20. We just had the anime film just last month, and of course I did my review for it. Also turning 20, we got Garfield the movie. Not to be confused with the Garfield movie we just had last month, with Chris Pratt. This is, of course, the live action one with Bill Murray. Now, I, of course, did my review for this around the time when, like, the Garfield film with Chris Pratt got released. You could look up that on my page. This, of course, has, like, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Breckin Meyer, Nick Cannon, Jimmy Kimmel, Deborah Messing. And I really enjoyed the Garfield movie from 2004. It didn't get much love. Even Bill Murray doesn't like it. Like, if you guys remember Zombieland, when he, like, pretty much bashed on Garfield and everything. When I think it was Woody Harrelson said, "What would be your one regret?" and he ends up saying Garfield. I'm like, come on, Bill Murray. Garfield wasn't that bad, but hey, it's not my film, so I mean, he was actually tricked. I've probably mentioned this before, but Bill Murray was actually tricked about to star in this because he actually thought it was a movie about James Garfield, and he thought the guy who was actually doing it was Ethan Coen, the director behind like Big Lebowski and stuff. But this Ethan Coen spells his name differently, so yeah, I don't want to say how he really didn't understand the like how we got confused, but okay. Of course, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who doesn't love her. Again, this movie is a lot of fun. The sequel, I'm not too big with, but yeah, I've always had a fun time with that one. Like I've always dug, the early 2000s CGI live action stuff, whether it's Scooby Doo. I'm a sucker for Cat in the Hat. I don't care, but Garfield was a pretty fun one. All right, also turning 20 is the Stepford Wives, which stars Nicole Kidman, Matthew Broderick, Bette Midler, Glenn Close, Chris Walken, Faith Hill, Larry King, John Lovitz. It is a remake of a 1970s or 60s film where, like, after during setbacks in her TV career, executive Joanna Elbert, played by Nicole Kidman, relocates with her family from New York City to a Connecticut suburb of Stepford, while Joanna's husband Walter, played by Matthew Broderick, quickly warms up to their town. She of course has a hard time adjusting to Stepford's manicured Ivorians, and of course soon Joanna pretty much begins to like suspect that something is really not right. And this is not really too much of a great film. Like I like the cast list, but I never really could got into this. Now, but it definitely has its fans. Just I'm not really too big with it. But another film turning 20, maybe the best one on this list, and that is none other than Napoleon Dynamite. I, I cannot, granted, I cannot believe all four of those movies are 20, but Napoleon Dynamite being 20 years old, like 2004 was a really cool year for the teen genre. Of course, there was Mean Girls that same year, and we ended up having Napoleon Dynamite. Of course, the movie that really made a star out of John Heder. This made a splash out of Sundance at the time. This became a cult classic. Of course, you have John Heder, who plays the title character of Napoleon Dynamite, who's a nerdy high school student who deals with like several dilemmas. He ends up befriending this immigrant named Pedro, who wants to be class president. Remember, vote for Pedro. I'd rather vote for Pedro than who. But and of course he pretty much pursues like a romance with this fellow student and living with his quirky family. Napoleon Dynamite. I adore this film. It's so funny, really like very quirky at times. Seeing Haley Duff in this was pretty funny. Um, the guy who plays Pedro, Efren Ramirez, he is so awesome in this. I like the vote for Pedro line has become one of the most iconic lines in film history. And that's definitely a person I want my vote for is Pedro. Um, of course, this dancing is so iconic. It's such a shame John Heder. He's like John Heder has been around like for quite some time. He's not like outside Napoleon Dynamite. He was in that Will Ferrell Blades of Glory film. He was also in what else was John Heder in? Yeah, the Benchwarmers with Rob Schneider and David Spade. You know, it's such a shame John Heder has not become more of a prominent star. He really became more of a one-hit wonder after Napoleon Dynamite. He never really found like that same success outside Napoleon Dynamite. Even Daniel Radcliffe has found success outside of Harry Potter. Even Robert Pattinson has found success outside of Twilight. John Heder really hasn't found that success outside of Napoleon Dynamite. It was cool though to hear his voice as a llama in that recent Delma the Unicorn, which is so funny because there's a llama featured in this. So, which makes sense because this is from the same director of like Jared Hess also did Delma the Unicorn, and he's doing Minecraft. So yeah, it's such a shame they never did. Other than that TV show, which I actually quite enjoyed more than most people did. Other than that short-lived TV show, it's such a shame we never got a sequel. But if you guys never had a chance to see Napoleon Dynamite, you can find it on Hulu. I think you'll find it in some other places here and there. Do yourself a favor, go watch Napoleon Dynamite. It's definitely one of my favorite films in 2004. This movie is gonna be it's gonna become a classic down the line, and it's already a cult classic. So Yeah, who doesn't love Napoleon Dynamite? I mean, gosh, and you know, I just love lost those lines there. All right, now films turning 30 this week. We got one of the best action movies of the 90s, and that is Speed, directed by John D. Bond, who of course gave us Twister. Uh, and stars Sandra Bullock, Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and revolves around a bus that has been rigged by terrorists to explode if it's like pretty much speeds for 50 miles per hour. Speed is one of the most funnest action movies of the 90s. We don't have to talk about Speed 2, but nothing beats the original Speed. You know, Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper, of course, played the villain, and he is so great in that. Jeff Daniels was also in this. It's a really entertaining film worth checking out. Really fun, lots endearing. I mean, Keanu Reeves actually has been talking about possibly wanting to do another Speed, and you know what? If they go announce that Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock will be coming back for another Speed, I'm all for it. As long as they like let's say pull I don't know Terminator or Halloween and ignore Speed 2 and make a direct sequel to the original Speed, I would love to see that. I mean, Keanu Reeves is very hot right now, you know, thanks to John Wick, The Matrix, Bill and Ted returning. So I mean, I'm all for seeing him return for another Speed. So all right. Also turning 30, we got City Slickers 2. And the first City Slickers with Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, John Lovitz. You know, not a lot of John Lovitz films on this list, but anyway. Say the first City Slickers, which I believe won Jack Palance an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken. The first City Slickers is great. It's a lot of fun, very hilarious. I never care much for the sequel. It's more forgettable than the original. I mean, I cannot really tell you much about it, you know. If you guys don't know much about the story here, it's actually called City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold, where 2 years after a murderous cattle drive under the guidance of Cowboy Curly, played by Jack Palance, in the first City Slicker, Curly has passed away, and Mitch, played by Billy Crystal, discovers the dead man's treasure, which also shows like the location of a hidden cave containing the stash. And of course, you have John Lovitz returning as his brother Glenn, Daniel Stern, of course, from Home Alone fame, back as Phil. You also have Jack Palance, who also reprises his role, who actually plays two characters. Like this time around, he plays his twin brother, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this just wasn't all that funny. Nothing about like was really memorable. I mean, the original had more memorable parts, but yeah, I'm not sure with the sequel. All right, I mean, not every comedy sequel could be as funny as let's say 20 Jump Street, right? All right. Now, not really much memorable films turning 40, to be honest here. Like, the only films turning 40 this week is films that probably many people never even heard of, like The Naked Face with Roger Moore, where a Chicago psychiatrist is suspected of a murder after his secretary and a patient are killed, and he hires a private detective to prove his innocence. You had Elliot Gould and Archer, Art Carney, Rod Steiger. Not really too memorable there. We also got a movie called Under the Volcano, which is directed by icon John Huston, starring Albert Finney, Anthony Andrews, Jacqueline Bisset, and is based on Malcolm Murray's semi-autobiographical 1947 novel, and follows his last 24 hours in the life of Jeffrey Furman, played by Albert Finney, R.I.P. Albert, who's an alcoholic British former consul in a small Mexican town of Quanicanan on the Day of the Dead in 1938. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that one, so I can't really comment on those two films at all. I mean, if you've seen them, comment below. Like if you've seen, like let's say, The Naked Face or Under the Volcano. So I mean, John Hughes. I have seen lots of John Huston movies, but I haven't really seen all the things he's done. So all right, but that's pretty much it. Let me lead to you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to go to 20 Jump Street. Me, the 20-year one, is going to go to Napoleon Dynamite. The 30-year one is going to go to Speed. And not really much about the 4-year one. I'll probably say maybe Under the Volcano because, well, John Huston, you can never go wrong with him. But anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Serious Iron.